Welcome back to Hardball. Will President Obama's plan work? Are his goals achievable? Did he make it clear to the American people exactly what those goals are? Tonight in Afghanistan, retired General Paul Eaton served in the Army for more than 30 years. He led the training of Iraqi forces in 2003, 2004. He's a senior advisor to the National Security Network. General, thank you for joining us. I got to ask you, there's been some heat on the other network about me referring to the fact that the president chose unusual ground tonight to make his case for his position on Afghanistan, which is a surge now and then a withdrawal, basically a gradual withdrawal starting in 18 months. I referred to it as being the enemy camp in the sense that all this war we've been fighting, this debate, this is going on and on and on, where you've had the president, the former president, President Bush, setting himself up as the friend of the military, saying that he is the one. The Republican National Committee has put out statements saying any Republican must support the military in whatever it wants, as if they are the sort of the partisan forces of the Republican Party. And here you have the President of the United States choosing to walk into West Point tonight, a terrain chosen by President Bush at his most hawkish, and perhaps there was ill-chosen words, but my point was clear to anybody who was honest and listening to it. An unusual decision by a president who's nuanced in his foreign policy to choose the military academy as his basis for making the case. Your thoughts?
Hey, Chris, great to be with you. Thanks. I was there in the audience in 2002 when President Bush gave that preemptive warfare speech, and it was immediately clear to me that this president had decided to engage in Iraq. No doubt in my mind. And the selection of West Point for this particular speech by President Obama was a brilliant move. You've got 4,000 very thoughtful, very bright, very tough Americans in that audience, and they got every word of it. And by the way, that was a speech that every War College graduate I know would thoroughly understand and endorse.
Let me ask you about the mentality of the General Officer Corps there, the higher-ranking people there. Do they have a partisan or a position about this president? I'm looking at some stone faces tonight, and I was just wondering if that represented their sort of political views. The higher officers, do they tend to be more Republican politically? Where would they stand as a group, would you say?
I won't speak for the General Officer Corps. I will speak for the bright peers that I have, who, after witnessing the Bush administration, the Republican Party, damage done to the armed forces of the United States over the last 8 years, anybody who blindly endorses the Republican Party, particularly the Republican Party that we have today, is just not a thinking American. The Republican Party has dealt more damage to the armed forces of the United States than any party in my memory.
And so the president, we just had President Bush, in the way that he used military audiences again and again and again as sort of his home base, was unfair in the sense that they've learned their lesson.
President Obama gave a thoroughly crafted analysis and speech before America and the world at a place where we train and we educate the future generals. And those 4,000 young Americans in the audience, as you watch the cameras pan around them, they were paying attention, and they also, after the fact, treated this president as a rock star. Those are the future generals.
Did that impress you that they all gathered around him the way they did afterwards?
Oh, very predictable behavior. And this president has touched a nerve, and anybody who is paying attention to the way this man operates, the competence and the competent people he surrounds himself with, it is so refreshing given the incompetent prosecution of warfare by the last administration. These guys have got hope. I mean, the cadets have got a real hope that they're going to be put into harm's way by a man who knows what he's doing.
What do you make of this rumor that General Petraeus might run for president?
Oh, I think
it recurs. I keep hearing it.
You know, it pops up here and there. I can't say that that would be a terribly good move on his part.
Really? Why not?
When you start looking for folks who will think it a good idea to have a very recent general officer going into the presidency, that's yet another military face on America's projection to the world. I'm not sure that the core of the United States of America is ready, after all this warfare, to put a military face on the projection of diplomacy and American power.
How would it sell to a young officer or cadet that they have to go into a war now, if they get deployed to Afghanistan, to fight the Taliban, with the notion that if we can defeat the Taliban or break them back and kill their force power over there, that we would somehow send a message to the Pakistan government to get more serious with fighting al-Qaeda in that country? Is this, to use a phrase I've used earlier tonight, a Rube Goldberg solution that's harder to sell in terms of risking and perhaps giving your life for your country in that kind of a mode?
Chris, the world changed 11/9/89 when the Berlin Wall came down and we quit being a two-superpower face-off that we had during the Cold War. The cadets understand that it's a very nuanced and complicated world out there, that when you talk about engagement in a regional war, in a regional stability effort, they understand that you've got to draw a big circle around Afghanistan. It's not just Afghanistan, it's every country around Afghanistan with a vested interest. Pakistan is the more problematic of those countries. Iran could be the next more problematic country. So the cadets really do get a serial engagement approach, and how the impacts, the drama in one country can truly impact the other. So, yeah, they're very related. AFPAC didn't come up as an acronym for no reason.
Okay, well said. Thank you very much, General Paul Eaton, for joining us late tonight. Up next, can President